Hello, I'm Rachel for Calcine Media. Welcome to another edition of Executive Corner Expert Talks. Today I'm speaking with Black Canyon Managing Director, Brendan Cummins. Welcome to the show, Brendan. Great to have you with us today.
Yeah, g'day Rachel. Thanks for having me on the show.
Now, to kick things off, could you provide our audience with a brief overview of Black Canyon, please?
Yeah, so Black Canyon, we are an ASX listed company. We listed in May 2021 and we are focused exclusively on manganese. So exploring, discovering, processing manganese, that's really what we're all about. We are a very tightly held capital structure. We've only got 70 million shares on issue and current market cap is quite small, less than $10 million. So there's plenty of opportunity there for investors to get in, on the ground floor and be involved in an emerging manganese company.
And your company has announced a substantial increase in global mineral resource estimates at the Balfour manganese field. Could you delve into the details of this significant development?
Sure, I'd love to. So when we started the company 2.5 years ago, we listed without any assets. We had some exploration ground and we've gone about exploring and drilling those and have been actually very successful in delineating very large tonnages of manganese enriched shale. So the announcement we put out today is the culmination of some drilling that we completed in July 2023. And very pleased to announce that we've now our total global mineral resources is 314 million tonnes at 10.5% manganese. So to put that into perspective, that is the second largest contained manganese set of deposits in Australia. So we're really proud of that effort. We've done it very efficiently and there's also a high grade proportion of those as well, which is about 99 million tonnes at about 12.9% manganese. So we do have a lot of manganese, no doubt about it, and we're looking to use that manganese to produce manganese concentrate utilised in the steel industry, which is a 1 billion tonne per annum steel industry, and then also looking at high purity manganese sulphate, which goes into batteries. So lithium-ion batteries, depending on the formulation, will have a component of manganese sulphate in there.
Now, there's such pleasing figures there. You mentioned the 314 million tonnes there. That must be very exciting. How does this position the company in the Australian manganese landscape?
So as I mentioned previously, we've been growing this mineral resource and we've done it really quite cost effectively as well because we had our own ground, 100% ground that we acquired through two fairly economic acquisitions, and there was no drilling on those deposits previously, and we've gone out, recognised the opportunity, and with some fairly modest drilling, have come up with 140 million tonnes just from those 100% owned tenements, which is in addition to 170 million tonnes that we had previously defined. So in total, 314 million tonnes. And in terms of the Pilbara, we control the largest manganese deposits across the Pilbara region in terms of manganese. So that's an outstanding achievement for a small company like us to be able to point to 33 million tonnes of contained manganese that we control. And as I mentioned previously, the only other deposit that's out there that's bigger than that is Groote Eylandt, which has been operating for decades. And so we've got that one in our sights, and potentially, we'd like to become the biggest manganese company in Australia.
Excellent. Now, given the recent developments and also your ongoing works, Brendan, can we expect an addition of further tonnes in the immediate future? What can you expect?
So in that last drill program that I completed in July 2023, I only had a limited drill budget to go and assess several targets. So out of the 6 targets that we tested, 5 of those actually came up with significant economic intersections of manganese mineralisation. So 2 of the targets, I didn't have enough drill meters to drill them out comprehensively. So what we've done is actually estimated exploration targets over those. And we're still working through those numbers, but just the scale of those additional targets several kilometres long, very similar to the other styles of mineralisation. I do believe once we finish the exploration target estimation work, which will probably be early next year, we'll be able to delineate, report back, I guess at that time, about additional tonnages that we have discovered on those targets as well. So the targets are Pickering and Balfour East, which I also mentioned in today's ASX announcement.
Well, we'll definitely be keeping our ears open for that one. Now, Brendan, could you provide an update on the progress of the high purity manganese sulphate test work? And can you shed any light on how this work is contributing to the company's overall objectives?
I think, with manganese, the two main usages of manganese are really manganese going into the steel industry, which is, at the end of the day, the bread and butter of any manganese company. It goes into the ferro and silico alloying side of the steel industry, and then it gets fed directly into steel furnaces. But what's really growing, and there's certainly a lot more interest in the midstream processing of manganese concentrate into high purity manganese sulphate. And what we've been able to demonstrate with our material on site, we've got some samples from our KR1 deposit, and we've actually demonstrated that we can produce high purity manganese sulphate, which is then used in lithium-ion batteries, which are ubiquitous across the EV sector, the electric vehicle sector. So we're really quite happy with that. We've shown that we can. We've got really high leachability rates of the manganese coming out of the manganese shales, up to 97% leaching rates. And then we, we're able to demonstrate producing high purity manganese sulphate, which is greater than 99% manganese, which is required for the battery sector. So we'll keep working on that. There's still a bit of work to do. We've done lab scale test work to show that we can produce the high purity manganese sulphate, the battery grade HPMSM as it's called. But now we need to go further, and we've also collected 400 kilos of sample from site, and we'll be running that through additional upscaling test work, which will probably take 3 to 4 months to work through. In addition, we're also talking to potential end users, car manufacturers, etc., who understand that the utilisation of manganese in batteries is probably going to increase, not only in the nickel, manganese, cobalt chemistries, but also in the growing high manganese content batteries, and also the LFMP batteries, which are essentially lithium iron phosphate batteries with manganese also included in that chemistry. So it's an exciting time for battery chemistries, and Black Canyon's really committed to being able to produce high purity manganese sulphate or other chemical compounds, manganese chemical compounds that are required to go into these batteries. And we're looking at locations within Australia, and then also potentially East Coast Australia, but also mostly in WA.
It's certainly a very interesting space to be working within at the moment. So just finally, Brendan, what can we expect from Black Canyon in the near-term future?
Well, where do I start? 2023 has been another pivotal year for the company. 2024 will probably be more of the same. What we want to do, we do know now we've got scale, considerable scale, and we're going to re-optimise, I guess, some of the parameters we used in the initial scoping study test work across some of the deposits initially in the Balfour Manganese field. And we'll probably get a firmer idea on the costs going in there, particularly the mining and transport costs, so we need to understand that better. And then we can start nailing down the environmental approvals, permitting pathway that we also need for these deposits. So quite a bit of work to be done there. We've really tried to minimise the risk associated with these projects, and obviously the first one is the resource risk, and I think we've answered that in spades with a huge resource. Now we're looking at the processing of the manganese concentrate, and we've shown previously that we can produce a 30 to 33% manganese concentrate, which is then used in the steel industry. And transport, also a very large part of the OPEX of these operations. We need to de-risk that further, so we'll be doing that in 2024. And that's just to produce manganese concentrate, and we haven't even touched what we're doing for the high purity manganese sulphate, which involves much more test work. And we hope to encourage some interest from the end users in relation to that high purity manganese sulfate as well. So yeah, Black Canyon's got quite a bit to do next year, and we just keep on putting the foundations in place to ensure that we've got a robust series of deposits to evaluate next year.
It definitely seems like a huge growth period for Black Canyon. Brendan Cummins, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks, Rachel, and I look forward to giving you an update next year.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And that was Black Canyon Managing Director Brendan Cummins. If you missed any part of that chat, you can catch the full interview on our YouTube channel at Kalkai Media, so make sure to subscribe. I'm Rachel, reminding you to stay apprised and invest wise.